5 Doors of Destiny, a tale of regret, redemption, and choice. The woman who had lost herself. Elena Reed had been drifting through life, lost in the monotony of routine. The spark she once had, the dreams, the passion, felt like distant echoes of another person. Her days blurred together, her nights were restless, and she couldn't remember the last time she felt truly alive. One evening, desperate for an escape from her own thoughts, she wandered aimlessly through the city streets. That's when she saw it. A small, forgotten bookstore, nestled between towering buildings as if time itself had abandoned it. The wooden sign above the door read, "The 5 Doors of Destiny. Choose wisely." Something about it called to her. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was fate. Without hesitation, she stepped inside. A bell chimed softly. The air smelled of parchment, dust, and secrets waiting to be uncovered. Behind the counter stood an old woman with piercing silver eyes that seemed to see straight into Elena's soul. "You are searching for something?" the woman said before Elena could speak. Her voice was gentle, yet heavy with knowing. Elena hesitated, then nodded. The old woman gestured toward the back of the store, where 5 doors stood side by side, each glowing with an ethereal light. "These are the doors of destiny," she explained. "Each one shows you a version of your life, paths you have walked, or could have walked. You may enter them, but once you do, you must face what lies within." Elena swallowed hard. A deep part of her knew this was important. With a trembling hand, she reached for the first door. The door of regret. The first door was deep blue, cool against her palm. As she stepped through, time folded around her. She found herself at a coffee shop, one she hadn't seen in years. And there, sitting by the window, was her first love, Noah, the man who once made her believe in forever. She remembered this day. It had been their last conversation. He had asked her to move with him, to start a new life together. But she had been scared, afraid to leave behind the familiar. So she had chosen safety over love. And now, in this moment frozen in time, she watched herself say the words that sent him away. "You let him go," the old woman's voice whispered. "Not because you didn't love him, but because fear won." Elena reached out, wanting to undo it, but the scene dissolved. She was back in the bookstore. The door behind her was gone. Her chest tightened. The door of fear. The second door was fiery red, hot to the touch. Inside, she found herself standing in a tiny apartment, cluttered with notebooks and sketches. It was her art studio, or rather, the one she had given up on. She watched her younger self stare at an email, a rejection from a gallery she had dreamed of being featured in. She could still feel the sting of disappointment, the way her mind had whispered, "Maybe you're just not good enough." And so, she had packed away her brushes. She had chosen a stable job, security, and practicality. "You didn't fail," the voice whispered. "You stopped trying." Tears burned in her eyes. She turned away. The door of control. The third door was heavy, like stone. Inside, she saw herself sitting in a hospital room. Her mother lay in the bed, frail and tired. This was the last conversation they ever had. Elena remembered the anger that had clouded her mind that day. She had been frustrated, exhausted from trying to take care of everything, feeling like the world was on her shoulders. She had snapped. Now, she stood in the same room, watching her past self say words she could never take back. "You chose control over grace," the voice murmured. The weight of it crushed her. She had spent years carrying the guilt of that moment, but no door could be reopened. The door of absurdity. The fourth door opened to something unexpected. A version of her dancing in the rain, arms open, laughing. No deadlines, no worries, just existence. "You spent so much time trying to control life," the voice said, almost amused. "But what if you simply let go?" Elena watched as her other self embraced the chaos, finding joy in the unpredictable. For the first time she wondered, what if life wasn't meant to be figured out, only experienced?
The door of Memento Mori.
The final door was black with golden edges. Inside, an elderly version of herself sat on a porch, watching the sunset. Her older self turned, eyes filled with both wisdom and sorrow.
One day, this moment will be all you have left. Did you live or did you wait?
Elena's breath caught in her throat. She had been waiting for the right time, the right opportunity, the right certainty.
But life wasn't about waiting.
It was about choosing. The choice that mattered. The doors vanished, and Elena was back in the bookstore. The old woman watched her, eyes knowing. "Which door do you choose?" she asked. Elena took a slow breath. "I choose the door ahead of me, the one I create." The old woman smiled. The bookstore faded into golden light. When Elena opened her eyes, she was back on the street.
The bookstore was gone.
But something had changed. For the first time in years, she felt alive. She pulled out her phone, took a deep breath, and made the call she had been too afraid to make. Because the past was gone. The future was uncertain. But the present? The present was in her hands.